Is utilize just a new, pretentious replacement of use? Hardcore minimalists have long argued against the use of utilize, saying there is no situation in which use cannot instead be used. It is claimed that utilize is just a big empty word that amateurs use to sound more professional. A good rule is always use the simplest word that accurately conveys the intended meaning. And so the question is, are there situations in which utilize is simply more accurate than use, or vice versa? Are the two words different enough to warrant their mutual existence? The short answer is yes, and the long answer is the rest of this video. Welcome back to Word Nerd, and I am your host, Adam Webb. It is a fact that people have been using utilize just because they think it sounds more impressive than use. But just because something is misused doesn't mean it is useless. I'll, as briefly as possible, explain three main nuances that differentiate these words and show you that more often than you might think, they are not exactly interchangeable. In two of the explanations and examples that follow, you will realize that use is a more general word, while utilize is a more specific word that can carry particular connotations not captured by use. Conversely, sometimes use can capture unintended connotations that can be entirely neutralized by using utilize instead, and this will be demonstrated in the third distinction. Distinction number 1. To use something is to take advantage of its qualities, abilities, etc. It is to operate something as in a computer. Today, using a computer is a very common skill. However, utilizing a computer means you're not just operating it. You're not just turning it on and moving the mouse and stroking the keys, but you are using it effectively and towards serving some predetermined objective. To illustrate, many teachers today think that more technology should be incorporated into the classroom. Yet, while 90% of all teachers can use computers in the classroom, only 50% of teachers can utilize computers in the classroom. Being able to use something doesn't mean that you are able to make use of it. This making use of is where the utilization comes in. So basically, to utilize means to use effectively or toward a set objective, or even within set parameters. The second distinction is in a way connected to the first. To utilize means to use something in a way beyond its intended use, or to use something in a creative or novel way. In the same breath, it can mean to use something that was previously considered useless. If you're at a restaurant having a fancy meal, then you may use your knife and fork. But if the same cutlery should be used to pick a lock, then they might be utilized, as this suggests they are being forced into an unnatural, extraordinary, or at the very least irregular function. If you are into DIY art, then you might find yourself utilizing a lot of materials. A stadium is used for sporting events, but can be utilized as a shelter in case of an emergency. If a burglar kicks down your door, then the frying pan you used to make sunny side ups might be utilized as a deadly weapon. Distinction 3. For this distinction, we will turn the tables on use, which before now was seen to be too unspecific. Now I'll show you just how it can provide an unintended connotation. Here in Japan, students have cleaning time, in which they clean the entire school. To say that the schools use the children to clean would suggest that the kids are being exploited or taken advantage of. It sounds like child labor, which in fact it actually is. To say the schools utilize the kids to clean the school kind of neutralizes that connotation. Sort of. No matter the context, whether you are an employer, teacher, leader, friend, or family member, saying you use someone does relay the connotation of exploitation, while utilizing someone more suggests that you're making use of their particular skill set, or you're making their presence useful to you. I like being utilized at work, otherwise I feel useless, and my job feels unfulfilling. However, I wouldn't say that I like to be used at work. There are a few more shades of nuances that I can think of that differentiate these two words, but they all fall somewhere in the crossfire of the three distinctions I've already mentioned. Here is my advice for using utilize. If you're not sure whether use or utilize is better, use use. This is because using use when utilize is more accurate is more forgivable than using utilize when use is better. Use can sometimes not be quite precise, but it is never technically wrong, whereas using utilize incorrectly can really make you sound like a prick. This is because utilize is a sort of category or narrower, more specific way of using. Also, if you can find a good synonym for utilize or a neat way to avoid using that word, especially if you find yourself using it often, that would be good. What pair of synonyms or near synonyms should I tackle next? I'm thinking of doing long versus lengthy. Let me know your ideas in the comments. If it sounds interesting, I could do a mini series of short versus videos like this one, in which I did used versus utilized. Or I could just plug a lot of pairs into one long video. It depends on what you guys think and how fast you guys make your wishes known. Well, see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.